absence of our council president, David Meehan, I'd like to call this April 6, 2015 regular council meeting to order. So with the absence, I would like to ask for a motion to elect a council president pro tem.
I'd like to nominate Stan Peterson.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Just checking.
Wasn't sure I was in favor.
All right.
Thank you. Could we please silence all cell phones? Flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
The silent roll call has been taken and a quorum is present.
Approval of the minutes for the March 18th, 2015 special council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Petitions, communications, and citizens' requests. This would be an opportunity if somebody wants to speak about an item that's not on the agenda, they could come forward now. Reports. Council President, since I got this about 2 minutes ago, I have no report. Standing committees, finance, public, administrative, economic services, landfill, legislature, sewer, airport, and housing subcommittees. City councilors. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Deborah Boyd. She's the new executive director of the YMCA in Old Town. Would you like to say a couple words? If so, approach that mic right there.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to stop and introduce myself. I'm super excited to be involved with the Old Town Orono YMCA, and we're working really hard at organizing some programs for our summer youth and for our seniors. So there's a lot happening in our doors. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of things that are the same, and we're just focused on growing from where we are and how we can serve the community the best that we can. So I would encourage all of you, if you haven't been to the Y in a little while, come visit. I'd love to show you around, talk a little bit about our vision and our connection to the community. We're also very committed to looking at our community pool and trying to build some programming there. We've got some changes happening within our aquatics department now. So I think as you watch over the next couple of months, hopefully you'll see some nice development and growth, and we'll be looking to partner with a variety of different organizations around the community to try to create the best program that we can.
If there's any questions, would you answer them?
I would be happy to answer any
Any
questions, sure.
from anybody here or the audience? I guess either one. You're off the hook. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
City attorney?
Everything's quiet.
Special committees? School board liaison? City manager?
Just following up on some of the events that'll be coming up this summer. Had a meeting with Scott Phillips today on the National Whitewater Races that are scheduled for July 22nd through the 26th. They'll be, I believe they'll be coming here trying to waive the permit fee for the special events at the park. They're also going to be looking a little bit for some help with some traffic control. I think it's going to be a pretty big event here, and possibly even on the Saturday event, maybe shutting down the main street here just for the morning session of that. They're going to be running sprint races, so they'll be releasing people here like every minute. And that's going to be like a 3.5-hour event, and they think that's going to be a lot of people here for that. So that's going on. I should hear back from the Penobscot Indian Nation on what they're looking to do for a schedule around the 175th anniversary celebration in Riverfest. So hopefully I'll hear back, contact them this weekend. I should get a schedule this week. So I don't know if you've got any time at the end of this week, Carol, Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
I can give you a call and get together. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Thank you. Consent agenda, Counselor Nuttall.
The Old Town City Council hereby approves suggested motions under new business items 1, 2, and 3 as presented. And they are, the City Council will consider accepting a quote for the purchase of a fuel trailer for the airport. Number 2, the City Council will consider an appointment to the DeWitt Field Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy. And number 3, the City Council will consider approval of a renewal application for a malt and vinous liquor license for Joseph Purdue, doing business as Hidden Meadows Golf Course, 240 West Old Town Road.
Any discussion?
Actually, on that trailer, funds needed to be transferred
Okay.
from account 03560 hangar reserve to the account that's on here.
Anything else? All those in favor? Opposed? Public hearings and second readings of ordinances. Second reading. The City Council will conduct a second hearing for final approval on a proposed amendment to Chapter 12 titled Nuisances by adding sections 12 through 64 through 12 through 70 titled Fireworks Ordinance. Counselor Roach.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves a proposal to amend Chapter 12 titled Nuisances by adding sections 12-64 through 12-70 titled Fireworks Ordinance as presented in Attachment 1.
Any discussion? We're gonna add the amendment to it?
We'd like to amend.
Yeah, I want to, but don't they have to second it?
You have a second?
Yeah, we need a second.
We need a second
Second.
first, okay.
Yep.
Second.
All right. And I would like to make an amendment to that motion. In section 12-61.1, where it says the 4th of July, fireworks will will not be permitted before 10 a.m. and no later and, well, after 11:59 p.m. the same day.
Did we get that right, or do we have to vote on the motion, then add an amendment?
No, we're good. I just need a second to that amendment.
Okay, I'll second that amendment.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience want to comment? All those in favor?
Of the
This is a roll
amendment.
call vote.
Roll call vote.
So we're gonna vote on the amendment first.
Yep.
So Counselor Roach,
Yes.
Counselor May,
Yes.
Counselor McLeod,
Yes?
Counselor Nuttall,
Yes.
and Counselor Peterson.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're gonna vote on the original motion as amended. Counselor Peterson,
Yes.
Counselor Roach,
Yes.
Counselor May,
Yes.
Counselor McLeod,
Yes.
Counselor Nuttall.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Old business. The City Council will consider removing an item concerning the dangerous building at 614 Main Street from the table. This item was tabled March 18th at the March 18th special council meeting. Counselor McLeod.
Resolve, the Old Town City Council hereby removes the item concerning a dangerous building at 614 Main Street from the table.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Roach. Any discussion? All those in favor? The council, the City Council will continue a hearing on to determine if the buildings or other structures located at the property at 614 Main Street is or is not a dangerous building.
Let me get started on this before your code officer updates you on his inspections. As you know, this was continued originally from March 2nd, when you previously received his information concerning this building, because the owners of record, Winnie and Bertha Osno, had only been served that day. Actually, they were actually served February 27th when looking at the returns for the hearing on March 2nd, and that was not a lot of time for them to get ready to prepare. So we have sent them certified mail letters on March 12th concerning the continued hearing date tonight. And I have those original letters to be placed in the file as part of the record. The letter to Winnie Osno was signed for her signed for by her on March 30th. And then the letter to Bertha Osno was signed for by her on March 18th. Putting both of those in the record, along with the original sheriff's returns on both of the notices of hearing that were served February 27th. And in addition, I received a call from Bertha Osno, and after that discussion, she indicated that she did not object to the city taking down the building. She acknowledged that it was dangerous as a result of the fire, and she has suggested that the fire department be allowed to burn it down as a training burn. I have a short letter from her to that effect following that phone discussion, received in our office on April 2nd. And just to read it briefly, I, Bertha Osno, agree with the city of Old Town that the house at 614 Main Street is a dangerous home and should be taken down. I would like to see the fire department be able to do it as a fire exercise for them. Thank you, Bertha Osno. So, add that to the record as well. We have not heard from Winnie, but she did receive the certified mail letter, and so she has had an additional opportunity to appear if she chooses to. Perhaps she's in the audience, I don't know, but to appear and express her views on this matter.
Thank you.
Dave Russell, Code Officer. At the last meeting, you folks wanted me to go take a look at the garage. Public Works went and cleaned out the driveway so I could get to the building. Public Works Director John Rule and I went over and looked at it. The interior has a lot of combustibles, which would cause me concern for fire. More concern is at the rear of the garage. It's just a flat, it's not even a monolithic slab, it's just a flat slab that the ground has washed away probably 2 feet underneath that whole back section. In the front, between the two garage doors, that structural member, the vertical structural member, is starting to bow quite a bit. It still remains my opinion that that should come down as well. Any questions?
No questions?
No.
I would also add that I would leave it up to the fire department to make that determination of what, if they want to burn that or not. There's a lot of material that it would have to be emptied out at the city's expense before they can start training in there, because all their personal belongings are still in there. So now you have foam couches, and so that would all have to be taken out. All the metal, the furnace, anything metal would have to be taken out before they burn it.
So, we don't need a motion to that effect. I mean, the city can handle that any way they want to, as long as we determine it's a dangerous building.
You have two determinations to make. One is whether the building is dangerous or not, and if you find that it's dangerous, you'll have to indicate reasons for that in the written decision that you're required to enter. And then if you determine that it's dangerous, you have to decide what's to be done with the building, and that can be anything that will remove the dangerous condition. It can include an order for demolition. You can specify that, if you choose to, that the fire department assess it for a training burn. And then once you've made those decisions, you'll need to formalize that with a written order, which is then recorded at the Registry of Deeds and served on the property owners. And once that's been done, then if the building is not demolished by the owners, if that's the decision, then the city is free to take it down. Given the consent here by at least one of the owners, I don't think you have to allow a particularly long time for them to decide whether to demolish it or not. Normally, I would suggest allowing 30 days at least for that purpose, but I don't anticipate that either the owner is going to have any interest in doing that themselves on this matter.
So you just need a motion.
So what we need to do
So
tonight
what
is
you have two
dangerous building or not?
Yes, you have two motions. Is it a dangerous building? And if so, some discussion of the reasons why it's dangerous, so that I can put those in your written decision.
Okay,
And
but
then
if that's part of the motion as per section 17 MRSA, section 2851,
Yes.
that would cover that part of the motion.
yes, is it dangerous? And then we'll try. You try to give me in your discussion some of the facts that you believe make it dangerous. You know, what do you point to in the information you receive which makes it constitute a dangerous building, just so that I can put those in the written decision. I mean, obviously I was here last time. I've seen the pictures. I've listened to the code officer's testimony, but I don't want to be the one pointing to the particular evidence that supports your finding. I'd like to ask that you folks do that. And then if you find that it's dangerous, then you have to also make a decision as to what's to be done with the building. That's the second motion. And if the motion is to demolish it, that's fine. You can also specify that the owners be given a certain time to take it down before the city acts. You could also specify that the fire department be given a chance to assess it for possible training burn.
So could we have that discussion with Mr. Russell about why it's dangerous right now?
Do we need a
have the
motion? Do we need a
or-
motion
Or
first?
do we need a motion
We
first?
need a motion first.
I'll do that.
It could be in either order. It's whatever you're comfortable with, but there certainly was a large amount of information presented last time as to the condition of the building, but you may need to be refreshed on that since it's been a month.
Okay,
Carol,
so
would
I'll
you
make a motion.
please?
Resolve the Old Town City Council hereby finds that the property owned by Winnie Osno and Bertha Osno, located at 614 Main Street, Old Town, Maine, recorded in Book 10981, page 184, at the Penobscot Registry of Deeds, with Nation Star Mortgage LLC as mortgage holder, recorded in Book 12724, page 28, Penobscot Registry of Deeds, is a dangerous building as defined in 17 MRSA Section 2851.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Could you tell us why it's a dangerous building?
Code officer.
Code Officer Russell?
I can't find my notes. As I presented last time with the photos, under the definition of a dangerous building,
David.
thank you.
Got it?
Can I have yours?
The third paragraph, yes, you can. Third paragraph pretty much sums it up. It's not mine, that was,
Mine.
that Patty, she's always taking care of us.
I do.
Well, without the, that's not the language I used. When I deemed this unfit for human habitation, it had no water, no sewer. The environmental issues that took place inside meet the requirements or the criteria for abandonment, obsolescence, and not really functional for the use that it was intended. And that would be my argument as to why it should come down.
Did the fire itself have caused structural damage to the building so that it makes it unsafe for anybody to go into at this moment? Because it looks extensive, holes in this roof and.
That was from the venting from the fire itself that they actually it would take extensive repairs. Couldn't you go in there to retrieve items? I would feel comfortable with that as long as someone from fire and myself were with them. And I know Ms. Osnos did specify that there is a personal belonging in the basement that she would like to either retrieve or have us retrieve for her, which I would be fine with that. Yes, thank you. Under the criteria for a dangerous building, you folks have to make a determination of whether it's structurally unsafe, unstable, unsanitary, constitutes a fire hazard, is unsuitable or improper for the use or occupancy to which it's put, constitutes a hazard to health or safety because of inadequate maintenance, dilapidation, obsolescence, or abandonment.
So you're saying the reasons that we fit that are the hole in the roof, the use of a back room as a bathroom facility, making it unsanitary because of the dogs and stuff that use that room also,
That is correct.
it being abandoned.
The opening in the roof that's been there since October 29th of 2012, just allowing more environmental issues inside.
Is that enough to satisfy you?
It gives me something I can put in the decision, yes. If any council members want to add additional items that would prompt their vote, I'd be happy to put those in as well.
You're gonna put in the items about the foundation of the garage being undermined with water and beam sagging in the front of it also to justify why we're disposing of that also,
I'll do that.
Filled with
Assuming
combustibles.
that it's a positive vote.
and being filled with, well, they could remove the combustibles, but
Yeah.
that's not really the building, that's the way they left it.
Right. The same with the interior of the dwelling.
Yeah. You need more, or you a happy man?
I think I have enough. You add more if you want to,
But I think there's enough here to write a decision.
So we could vote on this at this point in time, I believe, unless there's any further discussion? All those in favor? I think that brings us to item number 4 on the regular agenda.
You should have some discussion about disposition of the building at this point. That's the second part of the decision you need to make.
So we need a motion of some sort before we could discuss that, I would take it.
Yes, or simply a motion to discuss what disposition should be made of the building.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion to discuss the demolishment of that building.
A second.
Been moved and seconded that we discuss the demolishment of that building.
Okay. Some things you should include are on what time frame, whether to provide the owners an opportunity to do the demolition first, whether to have the fire department assess it for a training burn, possibly whether you want to allow some time frame for the owners to go in with or without city staff to remove personal property and notify them of that. I think those are all issues that you ought to include in this part of your decision.
I really don't like the idea of having it burned, because that is also one of the things as far as the chemicals and things that are in the building. If you remove everything, there's still some chemicals that, within the structure, if it's burned, is going to escape into the air and the surrounding area where it's water and a lot of other things. I think even with a control burn, and I do know fire departments don't usually like doing that any longer for a lot of reasons. I'd like to see just somebody come in and you know, like with the big cranes and stuff, and just haul it away. I think that's, my personal feeling is that's probably the easiest way to do it too, instead of having it cleaned out, then burned.
Do you have an idea on the cost differential since we're discussing it?
The issue with burning a building is unless you have a landfill that's licensed to take ash, that becomes a problem. So it would end up going probably to Juniper Ridge. If you tear it down, you just fold the interior foundation and then cover it with topsoil. There was a price given to us, and John, help me? Nine?
It was either 5 or 7, about $7,000. $7,000 with the garage, completely demolished, all the way, site prep, loam and seed on top. It's a pretty lot when you're done.
Is it sellable? I mean, can we sell it afterwards? Is it our
We-
lot?
We can't, we don't own it.
Okay, so we're just getting rid of it for the owners, is basically what we're doing.
And there'll be a special tax for the cost of the cleanup placed on that property.
If you choose to do that, you can assess the tax, and then that becomes a lien.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we'll get our money back.
Presumably, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Someday.
Yeah. But by doing that method, is it a lot that if these people came back and wanted to build something there, can they do that?
Yes.
They can?
Yeah, it's a legal lot of record. It meets the zoning requirements for that area. So yes, you could build, someone could rebuild on that site.
But we'd want to get our money back before they got that permit. Correct?
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Well, at the sale, the way the special tax, I believe, is assessed to that, it comes to us first before it goes to,
How long do we want to give the owner of record time to get their property out and all that? And
As a practical matter, again, I don't think either is going to have an interest in doing that, and I don't think there's going to be any appeal from this decision. I want to say a very short period, but as thinking it through, if you gave them less than 30 days, there's no opportunity whatsoever for them to contract for that work separately. So I guess I would stay with kind of a minimum 30-day period, unless you feel it's such an immediate hazard it has to come down before that. But give them the first opportunity to demolish it. Then if they fail to do that, then the city would go in and do the work and assess the special tax. I also would suggest that they be given at least one opportunity to go in and remove personal property. Even if they fail to do the demolition themselves, they should be given at least one chance under the city's supervision to go in and remove personal property.
I think 30 days, though, is a good time, but the way the weather has been, I mean, is it really going to be able to get in there in 30 days?
It's gonna be beautiful after Saturday.
Oh, okay. If 30 days is a good time, I think that's a good idea to do it that way.
Is-
30 days.
and I would agree, as the city solicitor said, 30 days is typical for any appeals to be allowed. So if we go in 15 days, they could come back and say, we didn't
Yeah, right.
grant them their 30-day appeal process.
The only part I'd like to see in that is if they say they do want personal property, and it might take them 35 days or 40 days, that we would accommodate them that 5 or 10 days, just for that reason that, I mean, we can give them 30 days, but like she said, if the snow doesn't really melt after Saturday, then they may not be able to get into the building, but they need to have made arrangements
Right.
within that, say, 40 days to do that. If they haven't made any arrangements, so be it.
40 days, that puts us just about the end of May.
Middle of May, pretty close.
And all of these time limits will start to run when the council's final order is actually served, and you're not going to have an opportunity to actually approve that final order until your next meeting. So we're really talking about a longer period than
We have 2 weeks,
and then the 30 days after we've actually served it on them.
So it will be the end of May.
It will be.
You may recall we've had some difficulty getting personal service in this matter, so that may delay it even further.
Okay. So 30 days?
You more or less have consent from one of them anyway at this point in time. And if the fire department deems it not safe to burn down, then that would cover her and we could just tear it, right? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the work you gentlemen have done on that. Item number 4. The city council will consider approval to amend the interlocal agreement with the town of Orono and the University of Maine regarding the establishment and operation of a municipal fiber corporation. The original agreement was executed on or about March 13th, 2014. Councilor Roach.
Resolve, the Old Town City Council hereby approves an amendment to the interlocal agreement with the town of Orono and the University of Maine regarding the establishment and operation of a municipal fiber corporation.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Bill, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, this has been a while getting going. And basically with a 3-ring binder, and certainly Ron can step in here if I leave anything out, but you know, you're trying to get connection to that. This is one more step in trying to do that and trying to have the University of Maine and Orono and Old Town work together. I guess the most important thing for me or for you to be concerned about when you look in the agreement and you look under section 4 under finance and staffing, one of the last items in the middle paragraph states, the corporation may request in writing funds for specified purposes from Old Town, including Old Town's Development Company, Old Town Development LLC, and Orono, but such request shall not constitute an obligation for Old Town or Orono to approve the request. Because the main thrust of this is in trying to establish this with the use of grant monies to do that. So, you know, by signing this, the city's under no obligation to fund anything in here. But obviously, there's been a couple opportunities where we've been really close in getting grants. Connect Me grant kind of fell through because even though a lot of us think of, you know, maybe Old Town as being a rural area, to get some of those state grant monies, they don't consider this area as being rural or underserved. So sometimes you're kind of fighting an uphill battle here. But this just basically has all three entities pulling together in one direction and trying to get this done, to be able to get some better internet connections here for people in the area. So
So you see us having moved any since March 13th?
like I said, we've had a couple grant opportunities. One of them was with was it NBRC?
Yeah, the northern border.
Yep. But that hinged on that Connect Me grant, part of that funding. I mean, that potentially could have been $500,000. But again, the grant money coming from the state, we fell short on because we didn't quite meet their definition of a rural or underserved area. And when you kind of look at certain areas of the state of Maine, there certainly are areas that are more underserved than us. But in moving forward, I think the more of a team effort that we can have between ourselves and Orono and the university, the better chance we'll have to push this forward for sure.
It has been a long time coming.
Any further discussion?
I had a couple questions. Do we know what in-kind resources and services are available from the university? Because it sounds like they're putting the cost of putting this together on us and Orono.
I think a lot of that, I didn't mean to cut Ron off. I think he was going to talk. So.
Part of that in-kind,
Would you please approach the microphone?
Ron Harriman, Economic Development Director. I think that most of that in-kind, as I understand it right now, would be Jeff Letourneau, working for the university. He's been just a great resource when it comes to anything internet-related. And he's put a lot of time and effort into it.
Cool. Thank you.
And part of that's Evan Rickert and Ron's time invested in that also when they look at that. And certainly Jeff is, you know, he's been really pushing for this hard, and he's really put a lot of time into this. So
It's actually been an education for me, just to understanding why, you know, this project is important, because we have, there is internet service available, but this would be part of the GigU project, which would provide the super high-speed internet that really is required by a lot of businesses that are uploading and downloading tons of information and need to do it quickly. So businesses that want to operate out of their home and need that capacity, you know, this would open some doors to, you know, possible business expansion where right now they can't do that.
Anybody else? All those in favor? The City Council will consider granting a permanent easement to Mr. and Mrs. Neil Rogers of 39 Spring Street to enable them to build a garage on their property. The Rogers will be responsible for any and all costs associated with recording the easement. Councilor Peterson. I can read that. Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby grants a permanent easement to Mr. and Mrs. Neil Rogers of 39 Spring Street, located on tax map 15, lot 1. The Rogers will be responsible for any and all costs associated with recording the easement at the Penobscot Registry of Deeds. The council further authorizes the city manager to execute said easement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Only if
Mr.
you'd
Russell.
wish.
We do.
Dave Russell, Code Officer. The Rogers approached me about 1.5 years ago on this, and I've been over there numerous times trying to come up with a solution for their wants and needs for a garage. The truly only place to put it, because of the topography of that site, is to the front of their house. Right now, their dwelling is about 20 feet back from our right-of-way, which is typically what they would be required. When you look at the map, you'll see that the actual street right-of-way line touches and in some instances goes through. That's because that's a 66-foot right-of-way, which is, history shows that was that wide to allow for a rail siding years ago. There's no real need for that. Once you get down the street, about 770 feet, it drops off to about a 30-foot right-of-way. I've talked with the city manager and public works director, and they see no reason why we'd ever need that 8 feet of right-of-way if we were ever to do anything on Spring Street. And by granting that 8 foot, when they put the dwelling on the front, they would still, from pavement edge, not necessarily right-of-way edge, but from pavement edge, they would still retain that 20 foot of setback, which is more than adequate to put any utilities that we would ever need to on Spring Street.
Any further discussion?
I just want to, is this the restaurant right here on the corner?
No, it's on the other side. We're going between Stillwater Avenue towards Bennick Road, where it goes down along Stillwater and then up to Bennick.
Yep, I know what you mean now, okay.
Is that beyond where the apartments are?
It's just this side of the apartment. You have this dwelling, and then DeGaribody owns a 2-unit apartment building, and then kind of diagonally from that is where the big apartment complex sits.
Does that help?
Mm-hmm. It is an odd street.
No further discussion? Everybody in favor? Opposed? The City Council will hear an update from Public Works Director John Rulo on the CDD landfill closure.
Good evening. The last time we talked about the landfill closure, we were talking about a state-funded program for closure, a 75-25 match. As it is now, we don't qualify for that based on our licensure date. The cutoff for the licensure of the landfills was in 1988. We weren't licensed in '88. We were actually at the very end of the process of getting licensed. That being said, there's new legislation, LD 580, has been introduced, either is or will be shortly by Representative DeShane, to extend the requirement 10 years, which would mean if you were licensed before 99, or 99, and extend the funding out to 2025. So and it also, gives an opportunity for more dollars as well. So the DEP still wants us to, still suggesting that we close it. We have made contact with folks that would be willing to help fill the gap financially and fill the gap with waste. We haven't moved forward with that yet. Obviously, we don't do that until we know we're going to be closing it. So the process is moving forward. There's discussions with our consultant and DEP representative ongoing right now.
Questions?
We're just technically on hold, though, till we find out about that legislation.
The part that's on hold is the actual selling any capacity. We're still moving forward with the process of trying to secure funding. We're not saying that we're completely out of the woods right now. And the DEP hasn't issued a letter that's saying officially that we're not qualified, we don't qualify. Unofficially, that's the unofficial word that we've had. We're dealing with the DEP, so letters are late to come.
Won't give us a letter for it yet.
The only thing that would certainly qualify us for this round, under the current legislation, is if we were to have a draft letter of licensure dated before August of 1988. We found a file here, and with our consultant, that shows the whole process of the city council going through the process of citing the place and doing all the stuff with the DEP. The issue in 1988 came down to transfer station and CDD landfill were to be licensed together, and the city wanted to license them separately, which was wise. So the DEP had essentially given the approval for both, but when the request to have two separate licenses, as they are licensed now, it just took more time in the paperwork. The DEP can't find a copy of a letter of draft for the issuance of a license, nor can we, nor can our consultant. So everybody's digging through their files, but ours was pretty complete, quite honestly. And it certainly told the story that everything was done right and on time, and that, you know, there was a time that we got letters from the DEP, and the city council voted to move forward with the siting of, and the construction and all of that business. So it was obvious that it was going to happen, but there is no draft letter of licensure. So technically, we don't qualify. Any questions?
So we're not spending any money yet, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Not any more than we would through the regular, through our engineering consultants anyways. The only additional fund spent, which is already in an existing contracted services budget, is in the pursuit of the funds for the closure, the matching funds for the closure. And again, I'll tell you that the DEP has asked that we close the landfill. The local DEP at Bangor office has requested that we make plans to close the landfill. There's no immediate requirement that we do that, but they have asked that we move forward, move towards closure of the landfill for reasons stated by our consultants have been here and explained why.
Yep. Okay, any further questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, we'd entertain the motion to suspend council rules to take up an item not on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to take up item not on the council agenda. All in favor? The city council will consider authorizing the city manager to execute a real estate option agreement with the Jefferson Street School. The purchase price is $10,000. Councilor Nuttall?
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby authorizes the city manager to execute a real estate option agreement for the Jefferson Street School located at 21 Jefferson Street.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Mayo?
We've been working on this for a while, and certainly Jeff Floyd's been a part of this, as he's in the audience tonight. If you folks have any questions of that, and this is bounced around between him and Ron and myself and Eric. I believe we have this agreement down to a point that we believe it's ready to go, and this is, for me personally, an exciting time to think that we could actually move along the Jefferson Street School into what we wanted to do, which is to be a property that can be reused and is a taxable entity for the city. I don't know if Jeff wants to add anything to that, or Ron, but that's kind of that's where I'm at.
Ron?
a few comments. I too am pleased that we have a qualified proposal to present to the city council tonight. As you all know, the city took ownership last year from the school. This has always been a non-tax-paying property. And we drained the systems and shut it down because we didn't want to incur the costs of maintaining or heating the building. And so I think that we're fortunate to have a qualified group of developers come forward this early and not have to carry this property for a number of years when it, would run the risk of deteriorating. So the proposal from Jeff Floyd, John Carnes, and Mike Moscone, who are all here tonight, is to construct upwards to 16 high-end units. These would be non-subsidized apartments. Their proposal has been reviewed by the LLC, and it was their unanimous recommendation to encourage the city council to proceed with this proposal. I feel further encouraged because Jeff Ford is an Old Town resident, and John Carnes, I know, has all kinds of experience with rental development in the region. And the third individual here is also, I think, closely connected with the banking industry and with these two individuals. So I feel a fair degree of confidence that we're in good hands. So I'm optimistic that it's going to proceed and turn out the way we want it to. There's a stipulation in the agreement that it would remain non-subsidized units for at least 40 years. Not that there's any talk of doing otherwise, but that was made a condition in the development agreement. So the option is for 9 months. There's an option fee of $1,000. They could extend it up to 2 times at two months each. The city would continue to insure it and take care of it throughout the option period, which is customary. And they'll provide us with certain information. We have a timetable established so that we have certain expectations from the development team so that we'll know the good progress is being made. So Bill and I will keep the council apprised.
Thank you. Any questions?
On one area, and probably it's just a matter of when it was drawn up, property and plans and records no later than March 31st, 2015 was sort of missed that one already, haven't I?
That's the information that we would provide to them, I believe.
Okay, so March 31st.
And we've already provided
Okay.
the plans to them.
That's what I was wondering, because of the date itself. Yeah.
One thing I would point out, though, that they haven't actually established the entity. So this tonight would just authorize the city manager to sign the agreement, with those terms. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but you're going to establish that entity in short order.
Jeff Plord from 17 South Terry Street. I live about a mile from, not even a mile from the Jefferson Street School, drive by it every day, and we've sat back, and I think I was on vacation when you guys put it out for bids before, and I must have missed it while we were up in Rangeley, and so when I saw the article that nobody was really presenting anything on that, we started talking with some of the investors here that are here tonight. There's another one that's not here. Got a lot of experience over the years lending to projects similar to this. John has a lot of years of experience actually building out these projects and managing them afterwards. So we've assembled a team of people that have the expertise in the various areas to help make this thing a success. One thing that we were planning up to 17 units, and I think you mentioned 16. That's one thing there. One thing that we look around the housing stock in Old Town. There aren't a lot of opportunities for a higher end apartment complex. There's natural gas that runs up Center Street that we could tap into and utilize, and it'll be important to us to keep the exterior of the building as it is now. We really like the look of it. We think it's a beautiful building. It's got good bones, but it's going to require extensive redevelopment inside. And so that's what we've put together. We haven't spent the money on the engineering yet. We wouldn't want to do any of that until we had actual developer status. So once this happens, we'll establish an LLC, the whole title to the property, and then we'll begin, once we receive developer status, to spend the money on the architectural and engineering work necessary to get the project rolling.
Other questions?
I like the proposal.
I think it's
I
really
really
exciting.
like
It's a good use of the building.
Be great
Great.
use for that facility.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
absolutely.
Thank you for stepping up.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
And thanks for moving us up in the agenda.
The city council will consider going into executive session for the purpose of consult with the city attorney, the city's legal rights and duties pertaining to the Red Shield bankruptcy proceedings.
Second.
Counselor Nettle?
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves going into executive session pursuant to MRSA Title 405 6E for the purpose of consulting with the city attorney, the city's legal rights and duties pertaining to the Red Shield bankruptcy proceedings.
Second.
All those in favor? We'll take a 5-minute recess. Thank you all for coming.